How's it going, folks? Nick here with the Chayote Permaculture vlog. Here's Otto, my co-star, and we are out here after, I think, 2 weeks without filming. It's been about 2 weeks, maybe just over, maybe just under, I'm not 100%, but yeah, I've just been slammed. I've been very busy. In addition to that, busy with work, but in addition to that, my mom is moving very last minute. It's like she had 3 weeks to move from Puerto Rico to Cape Cod. So it's in Massachusetts, so that's a 4-hour plane flight away. So it's quite a bit of a move and very quick. So I've been helping her move and everything, get everything moved out. Right after that, we're actually gonna be moving into mom's house. So there's just a lot going on right now. So I haven't really had as much time to come out here and do this vlog on a regular basis. I'll be back to doing regular vlogs once we get the whole move accomplished, which will probably be in another month. So might be a little bit less frequent until then, but that's what I got for you guys, and I'm gonna do my best to fill you in as much as I possibly can, but sometimes life gets in the way of that. So let's just get started. I'm gonna give you a little bit of just an update of what's happening. It'll probably be quick because I gotta go in and start work in just a few minutes anyway. So let's get going. Otto's been very cute. We've been doing lots of playing here near this little rock. He loves this, whatever, this little palm frond thing. He just loves to play with this thing. He likes to bite it. You can see there, he really loves pretty much just everything about this this palm frond. I think I have a good shot of him the other day when we were playing. You know, we love him. We love him for that. If we look up this way, you might notice something a little bit different if you've been watching my vlogs for a while. Anyone? That tree and this rack of bananas right here used to be like over here. One day I came out here and this tree was completely over. It just fell over. I heard the rooster freaking out. So I came back here real quick and I saw this whole tree had fallen over and it was pretty much laying right where Otto is right now. It was on the ground. So I was a little bit worried we're going to lose the whole harvest because the plantains weren't really, they're banana, they're actually a mix between a banana and a plantain. They call them planana. So whether I say plantain or banana, you know what I mean. So we came out here and I was looking around trying to figure out what to do with it. And what I ended up doing is basically pushing it up and then strapping it to the fence here just to keep it upright until it's finished its production cycle. You can see it's still growing, it's still fine, no biggie. Obviously it's not ideal, it's not gonna be loving the fact that it fell over, but bananas and plantains are pretty resilient. I've seen so many racks of bananas on trees that have just fallen over completely and then just gone on to produce fruit anyway. So I'm not too worried about the production at all. I think it'll be just fine. It's just, it's kind of a funny thing. All of a sudden they come back and the whole tree's over. And somehow you can just stand that tree up and reset it. So that's cool. I'd guess you guys are interested in seeing how the baby chicks are doing and seeing what's going on with that. So let's take a look. Here we go. They're all coming up to say hi. Hey, mama. So we've actually determined that both of these two are likely the offspring of Henry, and that's because of the tail. If you look at the tail on both of these guys, let's see if I can get close here. See the tail, how it's upright? It kind of comes up, and these guys are just kind of all stunted. They're not really growing up at all. Now look at Henry's tail right here. It kind of goes up the same exact way. So we're thinking that means that Henry actually has 2 offspring in this group, which is really cool because that's actually a new breed technically, because it's a mix between this type of chicken, which is a local tropical kind, and our rooster, which is more of the homestead, kind of beefier kind that's more bred for meat and everything. So really excited to see how those two kind of develop and turn out in the long run. Mainly because it's just kind of cool to have the kind of new genetics in there, and it'll be kind of fun to see how those chickens behave and everything. So far they're pretty docile, they're pretty nice. However, they do both have Henry's tendencies to find a way to get out of the pen. So that's not ideal in my flock, but we'll see what we can do to keep them because they are pretty cute, and I like to have a little bit of genetic diversity in my flock. Also, Henry's just way more adapted to this climate than the other chickens are. I mean, these chickens have been here for long enough. This breed stock has probably been here for you know, decades at this point, so they're pretty well adapted at this point through the genetics. But mixing the homestead breed that is really well adapted to here, plus the tropical breed that is pretty much like born and raised here, I think that'll be a cool combination. So I'm excited to see how that goes. That's right, bud. You got a new breed stock here. All comes from you. Yeah. He's doing this little kind of rooster dance at me. Yeah, good job, bud. He's been really adamant about showing that off to me every time I come out here. I haven't really done too many major projects back here just because I've been so busy. But in my couple of days where I had a little bit of extra time and I wanted to get back here, I actually came through and I reset this bed completely. So I basically took everything out, and actually I think it's some film to kind of show you guys the whole process here. So let's go through step by step. So first case, of course, is obviously weeding, pulling out everything I don't want in here to remain. The next thing I did is actually brought one of my mama, one of the chickens in here, and I just put her in there and closed the gate a little bit to let her scratch around a little bit, let her do some pest management for me in this little bed. So she was in there for probably 5-10 minutes, and then took her out, added some fresh compost. And actually not really compost, it's more like topsoil made from the chicken system. It's an area where wherever I can pull from, basically in the lower parts of the deep bedding system in their pen. So I added that on top. And then I formed little beds, one main one in the middle, and that's going to end up being for cucumbers, or at least that's the goal. One towards the path, that's going to be for kind of a green harvest, so it's right along the path, easy to harvest. And on the far side back there, I was trying to do sunflowers because they'd be tall, kind of work well with the cucumbers, and then give me a different type of yield. I just kind of like to mix those as much as I can. After that, I mulched it. I went and grabbed a bunch of the cane grass from just over the fence, brought it in, used that as my mulch, just to have a nice thick layer of mulch so I can protect that soil, make sure it stays moist and cool and happy, basically keep the soil life happy. And of course I did a nice deep water of the whole thing just to make sure it had lots of moisture in there right as I disturbed that bed, just to kind of settle everything down again. I also broad forked, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, and I forget if I got that on film or not, but I broad forked, really I've garden forked. I basically just put the fork into the ground and lifted the soil. That's what I always do. I'm not turning the soil, I'm just lifting the soil, allowing it to breathe. You actually kind of cracks form in the soil, and that's basically allowing the air to get further down into the soil, just to get a little bit more aeration as I reset the bed. That's what I usually do. After all that work, nothing. Ignore this part. This is my gimbal here. I'm trying to show you the whole bed in one shot here. You can see I have just a few little weed things growing, absolutely nothing else grew. And you know, I'm not extremely surprised about that because I was using essentially a 1.5-year old seed for all of it. So I thought there might be a chance that all that seed is no longer good, but I did want to give it a try just to use the seed. So this entire bed, basically all that work was not for nothing. Everything's prepped now. I just have to reseed at this point. So unfortunately though, nothing really has come up. So I do need to think about reseeding at this point, and resetting this bed once again, you know, in all that free time that I have, as we've been discussing so far, not too much. I also reset the bed right down here, just below it. And of course, by reset, this bed I'm hoping to be long-term into kind of garlic chives and perennial kind of allium species, so that we don't have to, it's not hard to grow onions here, but I don't have that much space to grow a big bulk crop like onions. So what I'm trying to do is use things like garlic chives, which gives me that allium flavor, and it's a perennial. And something like chives, which is not necessarily a perennial, but it will act like a perennial here. So I'm trying to get that going here. So what I did here is reset the bed, same exact thing. I basically just broad forked or garden forked to kind of add a bunch of air to the soil, and added a little bit of compost. And then I reseeded with a bunch of new, basically green onions, spring onions, something that's just going to be a really quick onion growth. That's more of an annual in that case, but it's basically the same thing as this stuff right here. This is what I'm trying to grow more of right here. So I seeded all that, and then in between everything, I just threw a bunch of different types of green. I think I have some bok choy down there, some Asian greens throughout here. And I also just sprinkled in all the spaces that don't have anything else seeded in. I just sprinkled a bunch of arugula seed because I have a whole bunch of it and I know it grows well. And so that works for me, you know. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Next thing is obviously this tomato bed. This tomato bed's doing really well. I just harvested 6 tomatoes from this yesterday, and you can already see there's a bunch more tomatoes about to come on. These guys are beautiful heirloom tomatoes. I mean, look at these guys. These are just gorgeous. I got these seeds from Desde Muerto. That's a local Puerto Rican seed company, organic seed company. Really excited about their stuff because everything I've used of theirs has been really, really good. It's grown really well. It's produced really well, has really good growth on everything. You can see here, I got so many tomatoes on this vine here, and I basically have 2 tomato vines, and it's gotten to the point where it's collapsed my posts a few times. I've had to come in here and redo everything. So yeah, it's been a really great producer for me, and I'm really happy with it. I definitely am saving the seeds for this one to plant in future years, or next year, or maybe even in a month or 2 from now. Once it gets a little hotter, we'll get more tomato production probably. All right, next thing, this bed right here. This thing, if you can't tell by just looking at it, is really popping. I'm really excited about this bed. This is the best bed, most productive bed I've ever had here on site. So down here we got the carrots. They're doing all right. I just threw a bunch of carrot seed in there just to see what would happen, just to have something different in here. Here's this kind of Asian green, this 25-day Asian green. It's pretty much ready at this point. I can start harvesting at this point at any point. These are like ideal size for the leaves. So that right there, that's the fastest producing one here. The arugula though, you can see the arugula bed's really pumping. I can probably actually go through and thin that out a little bit more just to give me a little bit more bigger leaves in the long run. I do actually probably need to come and harvest at some point. I don't know if you guys can see it, but all right up in here, see all these spider webs? I'm moving, and you can see the spiders running and everything. This entire area above here is spider webs, and that's actually really cool because they're going to be collecting all the excess bugs that are coming through here. Yeah, it's really hard to see and get on camera, but I promise you this entire area right here is spider webs. And they're just helping me control the pests in my garden, so I'm happy with that. And then up here, the radishes, you can see, they're doing really well. They're probably close to being ready to harvest. I'm not actually sure. I haven't looked down there too closely, but right in here, that right there, that's the ají dulce. That's the main thing I want to grow up here. There's one there, there's one further up there, and there's one right here. And there's a 4th one over there where that other flag is, but it's the most sad. I'm not sure if it's going to make it. So you can see the space in between all those ají dulces, which is the main crop I'm trying to grow here. The space between all those is being taken up by the radishes. At this point, the radishes are probably a week or 2 away from harvest. So by the time that these ají dulces get big enough to really want to expand and grow out, I'll be harvesting all of the radish, which is all those kind of big kind of greener, I can't remember. It's just the greens all around those ají dulce. That's what it is. That's all the radish there. There is also a row of arugula right down here, right along the edge here, just to have another area of arugula for me. So there is that too, but anything that's around those ají dulce, that's all radish, and that's all going to be coming out just as soon as those ají dulce really want to start expanding outwards and taking up more space. So that's kind of stacking time. I knew that's going to take longer to get to the point where it's going to be taking over this whole bed. So I used the time in between that to grow a different crop in the same exact space. So I'm really happy with that. I also have this this holy basil that's starting to really take really well. The passion fruit over here, it's starting to produce some new leafy green growth. You can kind of see there's a little bit right there, there's a little bit right there. It's kind of all over the place. It is producing nice new growth though. So I'm hoping that that's going to start climbing up and onto my trellis here. In the meantime though, I got plenty on the trellis, just so you know. Let's take a look real quick. This trellis I built, wow, look at all that Malabar spinach. It's taking over the entire trellis. It's actually going up and over the other side there already. It's trying to kind of come off the other side. It's also just starting to scramble this way as well. So yeah, this whole Malabar spinach trellis thing, this thing's doing amazing. I could probably take the shade cloth from underneath that down now, and it's still plenty of shade for the chickens in there. But the goal is to make this a passion fruit trellis and allow the fruit to roll down with that shade cloth. So that's why the shade cloth's still there, and why I'll probably keep that shade cloth on there, because once the passion fruit gets going and they're ready to harvest, they fall off. I want those to roll down into one location, so it makes my harvest nice and easy. Pond is doing pretty well. I actually had to come and clear this of algae quite a bit. It's actually been quite a mission to keep the algae growth down. which I'm not too. See the fish down there doing a little mating, fighting thing happening in there. They're really happy, these fish. They've been really loving this. I also see dragonflies coming here every day. I see bees down here drinking. There's actually a bunch of water insects in there. I'm not even sure how they got there, but they are there. They always find a way. They'll find their way into any sort of water body at some point. You can see these this beautiful little this plant growth here. We're actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I started with 4 and now I got 7. So they're starting to multiply too. So it's really cool to see. What I tend to do is just try to keep this area right here clear of algae. So it has a nice clear area where I can see into and be able to kind of manage what's going on. But everywhere else, I just allow to do whatever it's naturally doing. Occasionally go in there and scoop a little bit of that excess out, just to make sure that it doesn't get too much. I don't want the algae to take over and make completely stagnant area of water that the fish can't live in or can't swim around in. So I do have to manage that a little bit, but it's not too much. I just go in there and take a handful or two every week or two, and it's just fine. All right, let's move down here. This rack of plantains is coming along well. I'm pretty excited about those. This will be the first true plantains we have here on the site. And this bed down here, it looks completely overgrown and disheveled and everything, but what's actually happening here is I'm actually growing there's beans down here that I'm not harvesting at this point. I'm just gonna allow them to become dry beans, fall, and then hopefully start producing more beans. Actually, see there's a little bit of a cherry tomato in here, and that just grew naturally. I didn't actually put that here. And then this right here, this amaranth, this one's actually grown for the leaves as an edible leaf crop, but you can see here, see all these seeds on here? The chickens love these seeds. So I've been basically harvesting these every once in a while whenever I feel like the chickens need a little bit of extra seed growth. And you can see immediately I throw that in there and they're all over it. The rooster's calling them over. The twins are kind of sticking back because they know my mom will start attacking. They're trying to sneak in there without her knowing. But they love this. So this is basically just a crop that I can eat. It's an amaranth that's grown for the leaf, but it also does produce all those massive amounts of seeds that the chickens can also eat. So in here, my guess is what's going to happen is amaranth is going to keep seeding itself and start growing up again, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'm happy with that. The main thing that's in this bed is my chayote vine, which is this right here. You can see it's starting to grow everywhere. And I'm going to talk about that chayote in just a second. You can see it's going all the way that way. It's going this way as well. Let's take a look at the most far along chayote so far. This is the first one we had down here. Let's see, it's doing well still. It's white. I actually got a message from one of you guys, a comment from one of you guys, telling me that there's actually both a white and a green variety of chayote. And you harvest it when the diameter of the fruit is about 4 to 6 inches and it's a little bit tender, a little bit soft. So currently it's still very hard, not quite the right size. So I'm just keep on monitoring that. I keep feeling it. I keep looking at how big it's grown. And I'm going to go from there. I've never harvested it before, so we'll see if that's actually right. Otto just came down to be with me. Otto, hey bud. Hey, good boy. Hi, you sweet kitty. Yeah, good boy. He's been really wanting attention today. He loves to just walk around with me. He's also interested in getting in there to see what's in there, obviously. So this chayote vine is actually growing so intensely that it broke this trellis that I had. I had trellis going up for these beans, for these winged beans, a perennial bean here. I had this trellis going up and the chayote plus the beans snapped it. So I actually had to pull this over. And then I had a whole bunch of this chayote that was just kind of going off in that direction, falling over, going this way, too much to handle. I allowed this one to grow and start growing up into this plantain here. So we'll see how that goes and whether or not that's going to be a benefit or a detriment to the system. But I pulled all the rest of them, and what I did here, as you can kind of see, is I've been placing a lot of them right around the top so they can go right along the edge there. And you can see there's another fruit there. There's 2 or 3 fruits more down that way, and that vine is like halfway up the chicken run already along this fence line. So what I did next is I brought this next vine here, and I basically stuck it in so it would stick a little bit lower down. And then I found another vine and put it a little bit lower down again and put it right along the fence line. Found another one, again, right lower, a little bit lower. So I'm trying to take up the entire fence line with this chayote. And you can see here, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different strands coming right along this fence line. And my goal is to make this entire fence chayote. So it'll just keep growing, keep pumping, and it'll probably start wandering off that way and this way and all over the place, but that's okay with me if I have more chayote, perennial chayote to harvest at some point. So this one's another one of my big ones. These two right here, check these out. This one actually might be ready already, or really close. Look how big that is. It's getting really big. There's one right next to it as well. There's another one further along. You can see it right there. And yeah, this is actually the biggest one I've seen. I didn't realize this until just now. It's not really tender. It's still pretty hard right now, so I'm still gonna wait for it. It can get a little bit bigger probably before the harvest. But you can see there's another one right here. There's one starting to grow right there. I think there's one starting to grow right here. It's just non-stop, this production of this chayote. Really excited to see. I've actually never eaten chayote. I don't know what it tastes like. I don't know if I even like it, but I do know that it grows really well here. It's a perennial, and I don't have to think too much about it growing and doing really well to get a big crop. So clearly that's something that I like. That's my goal here, is not to have to, I mean, obviously I have to put a lot of work in, but long term, if that's a perennial plant that just keeps producing, it's definitely a benefit if it's really easy for me to produce. So I'll just have to learn how to like it, whether or not I like it or not. So I guess in the really near future, so I was telling you earlier that we're moving. So my mom is moving. So currently mom lives right there. She actually just got her second COVID shot yesterday. Yeah, mom, all right. She got her second COVID shot yesterday. So now she's in a few days of recovery. And then I bring her to the airport in 3 days time. 3 days time in the morning, early morning, and she flies out on Saturday. So yeah, we're gonna miss her a lot, and it's been really great having mom right next door. But it's time for her to move on their journey and move on to the next chapter. So we support her 100%. We will miss her. I actually do have way back when we did, I think last Mother's Day, we did a video with mom. And Mother's Day, she showed us around her little side yard. I'll leave that linked above so you can check it out if you're interested. But what I'm trying to say is, after mom moves, we're going to be moving from here to there. So it's not that big of a move, but we do have a little bit of upkeep and renovation to be doing in there. We're going to repaint everything, and then we're going to have to move all of her stuff out, all our stuff in, and then what we're actually doing is moving all of mom's stuff into our house here. And that's because mom and one of her friends, Dory, they spend a lot of time here throughout the year. Dory she tries to spend like 4 to 6 months a year here. She's retired, just doing her own thing, right? So, and she often stays with mom when she comes and visits. But now that mom's not here, or not going to be here long term, she doesn't have that kind of room waiting for her. So what we're doing is that my landlords, they're family friends, so it's kind of basically family. And Dory and my mom are also considered family in that whole kind of unit. So what they're doing is actually using our house here to basically be the house that will be mom and Dory's when they do come and visit. So they'll be really nice. We'll basically move all mom's stuff and Dory's stuff from mom's house over to this house here. And then they'll be able to, once they come back and visit, get it all nice and livable again. I'm sure it'll be need a little bit of a clean after we haven't been living there for a few months. But yeah, it'll be basically become their house, and it'll be like a part-time house. And then when they're not here, up at Hacienda Rosa, my family up there, they're the ones who kind of own this place too. They will use this place for housing for workawayers. So I actually that's how I learned about permaculture, as well as workawaying through Africa when I was backpacking through Africa. It's really close to my heart, so it's really cool that we might actually have some workawayers right next door to us. And they'll be able to be helping a lot of the projects upstairs at Hacienda Rosa that I just don't have the time to help with anymore. That's when we first got here, I was spending 15, 20 hours a week up at Hacienda Rosa helping them develop the property, helping them manage everything, etc. But now that I have all these other things going on, I just don't have the time to do that anymore. So I had to give that part of my situation up, start paying rent. I was basically doing a work trade for rent so I didn't have to pay rent. But I had to give that up so I could actually focus on all my other career things that are happening. So yeah, that's what's happening with me, guys. So just want to give you a little bit of an update of what's going on in our lives here. It's still going to be quite a busy few weeks and really month, and the entire month of April is going to be really busy for me. So I will try to do as best I can to produce these vlogs, but it's gonna be challenging for me because I already don't have enough time to you know, relax and live life. I am living life, right? But I don't have enough time to relax and do like the fun things and all that kind of stuff right now, just because we're so busy with work and prepping mom to move, and then we'll be renovating and then moving and all that. So please bear with me. I will be back. Adam, I'll have to find a new entry at the entrance. This might be the last time you see me enter from that doorway, because that's not where I'm going to be entering in from in the future. So I'll have to figure out a new entrance sequence for the vlog. It'll be nice to switch it up, change it up a little bit. It'll be quite nice to have a little bit of a change. So all right, guys. That's it for me today. Really hope you did enjoy that. If you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. Keep commenting and everything. For all you who have commented and made this far in the video, I should say, I really appreciate your comments, and I will get to those whenever I am working on the vlog stuff and everything. I have been pretty slow to respond to those recently, and I do apologize for that. Again, guys, once we're back into normal life again, I'm hoping to start doing these on a weekly basis again, and we'll go from there. So thank you for your support, for your patience and your understanding, and all the things that are going on in my life. I really appreciate you guys. And until next time, have a good one.